Hello and welcome. Oscar winner Diane Keaton is much more than a successful and much-loved actress. As well as her Oscar for Annie Hall, Diane was nominated for Something's Gotta Give, Marvin's Room and Reds. But over her stellar career on the big screen, she's fitted in a number of credits as a director of everything from TV series episodes to directing 3 Belinda Carlisle music videos. But one of Diane's more controversial directing ventures was an irreverent doco called simply Heaven. She made it around the time of making Radio Days and Baby Boom. The interviews, intercut with clips of classic films with sometimes bizarre visual interpretations of heaven, ask an unusual cross-section of people their opinions about heaven, life after death, their interpretations of God, and if heaven actually exists. Diane brought the film to the 1987 Cannes Film Festival. After its screening, she hosted a very light-hearted press conference over lunch with a small group of journalists talking about the making of Heaven, her career, and her famous passion for fashion.
Oh, no. Let's talk. I can do this and that,
Are you able to answer your own questions in the film?
Oh, that's right. That's a good question. Am I able to?
And do you want to?
Yeah, do I want to? Sure, I could give it a shot. I mean...
What was the question?
Can I answer my own questions from the film?
Oh, the same question?
Yeah, the same questions.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
I'm sure I am.
Absolutely.
First, obviously I'm afraid to die. We know that, so on we go.
Did you find that you were changing some of your own answers because of making the film and
hearing
other people
I think that
talk?
sort of happens, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, in the sense that, the more you know about it, the less you know. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? The more you hear, the less you know. You sort of had a vague belief in it before, and then the more you know.
I think the more you know about it, the more you want to live longer. Find out about it at the last possible moment. Make it
That's
to 110.
Right. Yeah.
Then figure it out.
Without a doubt.
You want to be 110?
If I'm healthy and feel good and can walk and, can take care of myself. Yeah, mm-hmm. Sure, why not? Wouldn't you?
Yes.
If you're healthy, I think, sure. If you're sick, no, let's go.
I mean, if you're healthy, I think 200 or 300 years would be a pretty good lifespan.
Yeah.
200 to 300. You go to college at 80.
Yeah.
But I think definitely after 100 years you'd have paid enough tax to not have to go on paying tax.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. You should be treated accordingly, right?
Yeah.
Like special, like a national treasure, right? Sure. Yeah.
Well, that happens to actors when they get in their 70s and 80s. Just the fact that they're still around doing movies.
Doing something that they treat them better, you think?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Standing ovations even just to show up in the room.
Like Betty Davis at the Academy Award?
I'm afraid so.
Yeah, sort of like that.
Something like that.
That
was amazing. Did you see that?
Yes.
That was incredible. I mean, because it gave you a real sense of who she is. She's still, just
still in control.
She's in control. It's just incredible. That was really something to see. I think it's good when they bring out the people who have done so much in the past and have them get up there, because it's part of the community, and I think it's a good thing to do. Anyway, it was amazing, but that's not about this.
Mm-hmm. But
She's
some ways
pretty great, though.
In
a way, right? I guess in a way, yeah.
She's struggling with the questions that you have in this film.
Yeah, I guess we all are, more or less. But when you get older, I think you struggle with them a little bit more, because it's just you're aware that the end is in sight, right? Yeah.
Were you at all tempted to make this into sort of a celebrity film in the sense of interviewing more people?
No. As you can see, no. Otherwise, I probably would have had more. I only had one celebrity.
Dunking.
That was it.
Yeah. And he was quite smile.
That smile. How about that face?
It's a good face.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you bring more Why wouldn't you bring more celebrities in?
I didn't want it to be about that. I didn't want it to be about celebrities' ideas of heaven. I mean, it seems like that's sort of something everybody likes. I'd like to see it too, but I didn't want to make a movie about that. I wasn't really interested in that so much. Maybe for better or worse, right? But that's the truth.
I think for better, but...
Good.
When did the idea begin?
Well, it began actually on a trip that I took. I'd made a film about my sister. It was just a little short film, and I wanted to do a film on religion, but I didn't know exactly what, because, you know, it's an interesting thing in our country. As you know, we have a lot of those TV shows that have a lot it's just an amazingly bizarre thing. And so I took a trip with a friend of mine, and we were in Utah, and we went to the Mormon, you know, there. And I saw a film there about heaven, where people were sort of floating in heaven, and families, and they were all very happy and elated. And I thought, this is so insane. I thought, maybe heaven's it. So I figured heaven would be the angle. And so heaven it was. And also I'd remembered that I'd seen movies, obviously, you know, like all those Hollywood movies, like those MGM movies when I was a kid on TV, like Green Pastures and like A Guy Named Joe and like The Horn Blows at Midnight. And so those had such a strong effect visually, because they're just, I mean, that how they depict heaven was such a funny thing to me. So that's why, really.
What was your thoughts? I mean, what did you feel and what did you believe up to that point?
Up to that point, I believed in it, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And I think it's sort of a vague thing, and I think it remains a vague, abstract thing.
Do you still believe in it?
I don't know. I hope for it, but I don't know what I hope for. You see, I mean, it's sort of very hard to figure out what it is, obviously.
Please, who did the research of old movies?
What?
The old movies.
Who did the research?
Yeah.
I did, and he did, and the editor did. I did it.
Where did you find it? In Hollywood?
All over. I mean, that part of it was relatively easy. It's just time consuming. There are people who collect films, 16 millimeter films, and they have thousands and thousands and thousands of films. And I also went to the studios, and they let me use a minute from all these heaven films, right? So we saw those, and we also got religious films that you can rent. And from religious, you know, sort of publications, you can get these. Joe did a lot of that, and we also got industrial films, which is where we got all that 50s sort of. You remember the part where the rewards in heaven, where all those shirts and you know all that junk stuff in color. Yeah. That's all from industrial films. So it was just time consuming, easy to do, but time consuming and fun, and hard to get the rights. As Joe will tell you, the rights forget.
It's an interesting process, because some of these things. Like it took Estes Perkle, the guy in blue. I'm Estes Perkle, and I'd like to tell you about him.
We remember.
Heaven. He was very. I found that in a religious film catalog, and I ordered. We rented it, and we were on the floor.
Oh, you have to see the film.
Saw the whole film.
You have to see the whole film.
And I think
it's just
we
amazing.
We might have been better off had we just bought the film
and released that.
Released it.
It
was so wonderful.
That's right.
It was so wonderful, but he was very difficult to talk into giving us the right to use any of it. So I started talking money and thought that I couched the phrase that we'd really like to help him with his ministry, and we were willing to give us a sizable contribution to his church, which really wasn't that much, but to him it was. It was a few $1,000s.
Well, imagine.
Sorry.
Oh no, go on.
I was going to ask, did he know that, or did he suspect that you were going to make fun of him?
I don't think we made fun of him. I think we
gave him the Reader's Digest version, right?
I think that
he did it all himself.
He did it himself. It's his film.
In fact, there's one thing that's kind of interesting. There's a guy named Dr. Heimers who's in our film. Predominantly, he's the voice behind all those voiceovers and the sermon. He's the guy in the debate, the bald-headed guy. And he's the guy who says Hitler should be in heaven. Anything that anyone, the most fervent critic, could say about what horrible things we did to Dr. Heimers in terms of making fun pales in comparison to his own video, which he shows himself running down Hollywood Boulevard, pushing people aside, all the hookers and all the horrible people. Then he gets into a 911 Porsche Targa and drives to his church. This is his own video.
So
it's true. It actually is true.
I say not. It's really what it is.
Is it a religious film, the one with the Christ washing the feet of them?
Yes, that is. Yes. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we found that. We pieced that together. That was just.
Kansas City from Calvin
that was Rick
Film Archive.
Prellinger, yeah.
Remember when I went out there and we loaded up all that film?
Yeah. I
It's
know.
a lost film.
It's a lost film, and it's not even pieced together. I mean, it was just a mess.
Some of them should be
like an
lost.
amateur.
I'm curious.
Yeah, it was an amateur
Some of them
film.
should be lost.
It was done maybe at a Bible
I'm curious
camp
about your
in the
spirit in
summer.
going into
Fake
selecting those.
I know.
About my
How did you like
spirit?
his
Yeah,
hand?
and
That-
what I mean is,
Stand on
you
Lazarus.
can make fun of Purple. Let's face
Yeah.
it, he is a prime target of
Yes.
humor.
Yes.
Now, do you think that you said you gave him the Reader's Digest version, and I think
Of
that's
his.
true.
Yes, I think of
but
his.
you know we're all going to be laughing at it, or most of us are. And you knew that in
Yeah.
selecting it, didn't you?
Yes, I imagined it.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope.
Okay, what? Now, in trying to assemble all these bits,
Yeah.
how much humor did you want, and how much little nudges did you want people to have so that they would
Okay.
actually think seriously?
Here's what I think. My opinion about that is that I totally empathize with everybody who wanted to go to heaven, who wants to go to heaven, who longs for this place. But I also feel that I don't mind saying that anybody who believes that there is a hell and that you're supposed to be punished for not believing in Jesus Christ in the way that they feel that you should believe in it is fair play. Because I think that, I mean, in other words, I don't believe that that's right. I don't believe that people who say you have to be punished for not believing what they believe are, I feel like I don't care what they think if I make fun of that, because I don't believe that. You know, it's not right. But I do believe that no matter how crazy your belief is, you have a right to your belief, and I approve of that. But punishment is another thing. I don't get hell. I never got hell as an idea. I get heaven, but I don't get hell.
It's real
It's
weird
too
because
mean-spirited. It's just awful. It's just the worst. I mean, how can that be?
But isn't the whole
That
thing a
people
state
would
of
say,
mind?
what?
It's all a state of mind.
That's completely right, which is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting that a lot of, I think, and this is something that is in a couple places in the film, but a lot of the fundamentalist Christians see heaven as a sort of country club where only certain people who believe certain ways, who believe literal interpretation of the
Yeah.
Bible,
Heritage
Yeah.
USA.
go to this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Better
That's right.
with
And
a
they're all
bigger
white,
slide.
too, yes.
And it's their kind of country club, and it's very much about excluding other people and feeling superior to other
Mean-spirited.
people who don't have that specific belief. Saying, well, so you could be a Muslim humanitarian working in the leper colonies for your whole life and go to hell because you didn't believe in Jesus.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's the
And,
crazy
it's-
part of it.
And that someone who believes in Jesus and was a jerk.
It was a
their
jerk
whole
and
life,
mean and
accept
killed,
Jesus
you know, I
at
mean,
the
like
last
Hitler.
minute.
What about what Heimer said,
Yeah,
you
that Hitler
know?
could be in heaven if he'd accepted Jesus at the last
If
minute.
he'd
all
accepted
would
Jesus, he'd
forgiven.
be in heaven.
Well, I sometimes wonder, you know, I was raised as a Catholic, Roman Catholic, and I've kind of drifted away a little. And I have some aunts who are very, very devout Catholics, and I get into these arguments every now and
Yeah.
then, and I find myself saying, yes, but what about the 800 million Chinese?
Yeah, do they just sort of...
What chance
yeah.
have they got?
None.
Up to $1 billion now, isn't it? But
Or
anyway.
whatever.
Yeah.
What has meant heaven for your career? A change of pace?
Well, sure, absolutely. Definitely a change of pace, yes. I'd say so. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about
good,
that.
Good, bad, or indifferent?
Well, good, because I enjoyed doing it. I mean, I loved doing it. It was really one of the most fun things I've ever done. I enjoyed the editing process enormously, and I liked working it out. I liked trying to figure it out.
I'd like to be a director.
Well, I mean, I like doing this, without a doubt, and I'd like to try, maybe. See if I can.
Do you
have a plan for another movie?
Well, I'm going to do a music video, which I think will be very interesting because then I have to actually tell somebody that they have to move over here and they're a performer as opposed to just asking questions and then editing. Editing was great. Belinda Carlisle, do you know who she is?
The go-go.
Yeah,
And we're developing some scripts
yeah,
for you to
yeah.
direct.
In the meantime, you go on to act.
Sure, you bet. I like acting.
Of course.
Have you done a role in the last 18 months?
Yeah, I did this. Crimes of the Heart was a movie that just came out, and then I just finished a movie called Baby Boom.
Baby Boom.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's that?
Sam Shepard and a baby.
Baby Boom.
Baby Boom, right?
You're
What,
Comedy.
story?
Comedy.
Career woman.
Career woman inherits a baby, changes her life, that kind of thing.
who directed that?
Charles Shire.
Is it
Charles Shire.
Is it fun? Is it
It was
crazy?
a lot of
It's
fun.
interesting?
I hope it's interesting. It's a lot of fun to do. It's nice to do comedy. I like it.
Did you find that when you were directing, the juices ran different than when you were acting?
Absolutely. They have to. You can't keep, when you direct, you aren't emotionally going out on the edge every time. You're not working yourself up into a fit. You're just trying to think.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, that you're happy. You like being busier and having all the
I like it. It's better.
visual things to deal with, which you don't in acting. You have no control over the sets, the way the picture is designed. You can say something, but
Is control important?
I think it's different.
In acting, it's not. You don't want it too much in acting. I think you want to be spontaneous and alive. You want to be open to feeling. But when you're directing, obviously you don't. You just want to make it work, and you have to think about how you're going to try to make it work. And it's another animal. It's just a different thing entirely.
So your attitude is change when you are in the other part of the camera.
Yeah.
In which way change?
Well, I think this is entirely different completely because you don't have to stick your head out there. You don't have to be in front of a camera, perform. You just have to try to make the performance happen. You try to make it alive. You try to make it work. You have to think about the shot. You have to think about... it's all different. You know that. Acting is just another animal. You're dealing with your feelings all the time,
So
You're just doing one thing, which is a big thing. It's a very great thing. It's really an adventure to act. It's great. But this is something else.
Talking about directing, and sort of, I don't know whether you've thought about it, but what director's styles do you appreciate?
Well, when I was looking at Heaven, there were a lot of directors that I really appreciated who I hadn't seen before. Like Fritz Lang, for instance. I think he's great. And Carl Dreyer. Joan of Arc and Vampira. Just unbelievably, amazingly beautiful films. Great directors. Murnau. People that I'd never seen that were early, who were doing things filmically that are very sophisticated, and it was like a real education because I didn't know that so much about silent films or films pre-50, So it was great.
Well, certainly Lang, Metropolis is the most extraordinary film.
That and Dr. Mabusa and Lilium.
Yeah.
Lilium is incredible.
Do you think it's very difficult now to find female roles in American movies now?
Find what?
Female roles.
I don't think so, no. I don't think any different than ever. I think it's pretty much the same. I think it's always hard to find a good role, but I don't think it's worse. No. In fact, things are better because there are more films being made and more independent films and more opportunities to do unusual things and more chances. I think it's a good time.
Are you taking a chance in Baby Boom at all, or?
Baby Boom, I think you take a chance every single time you go out and do something. I think you're always taking chances, whether it's going to work or not, whether it's going to be any good.
That's
but
more
I would
obvious
say,
to us when you do something like Mrs. Soffel than when you do a comedy, perhaps.
Oh, you think? I don't know. See, as you continue to do things, I think you're always amazed by what works and what doesn't work. You never know. I don't know. I think I think you're right about the fact that it's more obviously like comedy's a comedy, and you hope that people will. But I think it's hard to know. Mrs. Soulful, I guess that is more of a risk, really, isn't it? Because I think I'm viewed more as like a comic type, right? Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know.
You feel more at ease in a comedy than in a drama.
What?
You feel more at ease in
With a comedy?
Yeah.
I think I just sort of came up in comedy. I think I started doing comedy. So, it's like people liked me in comedy. And I don't know. I like it. I like the other two. But we'll see. Hard to do a good comedy, though. Just as hard as it's doing good drama. And so, therefore, that's why I say I don't know about Baby Boom, because I think it's always hard to make any kind of a good movie, don't you? Anything that even slightly works is amazing to me. It's so hard.
I like very much your way to dress.
You do?
Yes.
You're one of the... Really?
You're very creative. I want to ask, how long do it take to To choose.
To put it
yeah.
on?
To choose. No, no.
To choose
put it
it,
on.
to choose it.
To choose.
Oh, to put it on doesn't take so long, right?
Fashion.
I like it. It's
No,
sort of
it's
like
Diane
looking at
Keaton
the.
fashion.
It's sort of like looking at all those films. I mean, I enjoy that. You know, sort of like, oh, it's fun. I guess. Do you think? No.
I think so.
Yeah, I like it.
But how, are you conscious of a style of dress, or do you just?
Well, I know a lot about clothes. I mean, I like to look at them. I like to look at the. You know, it's like I just like to look at things. So I enjoy that aspect of life. Just looking at how people do this or that or the film or whatever. Still photography. You know, I mean, I like it, all of that.
Everybody has, either consciously or otherwise, perception of how they want to look.
How they want to look. Well, everybody wants to look like they don't look. I mean, most people, don't you think? I mean, a lot of people don't want to look like they look.
I guess,
They'd rather look like
but
something
they have
else.
A perception of yes. For example,
Yeah.
why have you got the?
I'll tell you exactly why. My hairdryer didn't work this morning because I'm here and I don't have one of those converter things, you know. So I couldn't dry it, so I had to, put one of these on. That's the honest truth. But I bought a hairdryer and I will have mine.
Do you think you're a fashion leader? Since Annie Hall, you have been an actress whose fashion style has been imitated all over the world.
Yeah. Do I think? Oh, yeah. Yeah, good. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I think that's right. I mean, what the lady's saying is that from Annie Hall, young women took a style of
at that
fashion.
time, at that time, yeah.
And in fact, it still exists.
Less, but
Now they'll all wear orange chandeliers around their necks. So very small. And
Yeah, pockets of the country that don't have television still exist in certain isolated areas.
A lot of Annie Halls in Portugal.
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
I mean, it's sometimes people stick with a style. Like it comes along and they grab onto it. And they don't let go.
The hippie, always a hippie. Once a hippie, always a hippie.
This film is set up. Each individual scene is set up in a very interesting way that is different than any other documentary I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen hundreds.
That's why we had a hard time when we said it was a documentary, because it sort of isn't a documentary.
It's more like an essay.
It's more like, I guess somebody else said that. I didn't know, but maybe that's a better way of putting it, because I don't think it's really a documentary. Do you? It's too...
Documentaries are more objective.
Well, it's a documentary with
subject.
emotion.
Yeah.
Because it was very funny to find how many emotions this film could bring when it talks about love.
Yeah, love, right. That was nice, huh?
Well, was that
I
why
like
you,
love.
Very nice.
Was that the reason then? Because you didn't want it to look like a conventional documentary. Was that the reason that the sets were?
No, it wasn't about that. It was more that heaven is in the imagination. So I felt like it couldn't be something that looked real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was all about another place. So I felt that the movie had the license to be not real looking. Nothing looked real to me, and I didn't pick clips that I thought looked real either. I picked expressionistic clips because I thought that was what heaven's all about. A dream. So therefore the film had that look for a reason. It wasn't just sort of like gratuitous, like, oh, I like this, so I'm going to put it in there. But I felt that, I didn't want it to...
Artsy.
I thought that when you look at those clips, they're all just bizarre beyond words. I mean, these cloud shots, they're insane looking things. An orchestra in heaven, give me a break. It was crazy. So I figured... That's what it's about. Not about real life. Not about here's a tree and there's a nice building. No.
Did you rehearse the answer and the question?
No. We had no money. We had to do that right then.
Just immediately? On the camera?
Yes.
Yeah,
always?
Actors or real people,
Real people. Everybody's real. No acting.
No acting.
None of it was scripted.
No.
Who's the guy, the first guy?
No, it's real.
Isn't he unbelievable?
Yeah, he is.
Evan, yeah.
Evan is.
Yeah, he's Alfred Robles is his name. We found him on a street.
Hollywood Boulevard.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He talks like that on the street.
We met, I'll tell you a story about Alfred. in order to keep him, we wanted him so bad for the film. We're meeting him weekly at Arby's Roast Beef.
I know it.
Hollywood, at which point Diane would give him $40 or $50 to tide him over for another week. He would call the hotel, even though he was totally crazed about our meeting at Arby's Roast Beef for his paycheck. And finally, we got him. We drove in, and he was there promptly to be picked up to be in the film. And it was amazing. But, it's sort of like certain people. Diane was sure that we're going to be great for the film and really worked hard to get. Like Alfred was one, and Grace.
Grace is the lady at the end. You remember that one, the little old lady?
Yeah,
She's talking about says goodbye.
Yes.
Yeah, she didn't want to do the film. And how many times did you knock on her door?
Oh.
To try to get her
I
to
know.
talk her into
We barely got her.
Your aunt is in the film, is it not?
No, my aunt, my grandmother.
Oh, your grandmother?
Yeah.
Which person is your grandmother?
She was the one, the oldest woman, who looked like a man, kind of.
Yeah,
remember with the white hair.
I remember
and
very
the
well.
suit.
And she lost. So the references to Sophie and those were all in
Aunt
your
Sadie.
family.
Yeah, Aunt Sadie. Right. That's all right. Please, God, that you remember it all is bizarre.
But that was a very striking.
She was somebody I really appreciated her because I thought that she was 94 and she was going to die, and she was the only one who said that had, I think, the courage to say, probably it's not there. I mean, she said, I don't believe in it, and I think that's amazing.
Because then she faced death.
On
more bitter terms or more harsh terms.
Yes, exactly. But it was also funny because she was a Catholic, which is also insane. Man, she was a Catholic until the end. So, beats me what it was about. I think she was a Catholic because she was raised a Catholic. I think it has a lot to do with you know this, right? Being a Catholic, you probably will always have Catholicism in you someplace, right? Yeah, you never get rid of it. So.
What was your family religion when you grew up?
Methodist. We were all Methodist.
I'm not that guilty.
And Joe, what was your family background in terms of religion?
Episcopalian. Basically, you go Christmas and Easter. And you give $50 a year. I was actually an acolyte.
Methodist. Yeah.
You know,
my mother's insistence, but I dropped out.
No, I'm not a practicing Methodist now.
But were you?
Oh yeah, as a kid. Oh yeah.
You know how the people in the movies react after seeing it?
Do I know how they react?
Yeah, if you know.
I don't really know.
We haven't heard
of someone, not everybody, but didn't you ask for someone who has seen the movies how they
feel about? Oh, sure. You mean my friends? Are you talking about my friends and what they think of the movie?
Or someone in the movie, or the people in the movie.
Oh, people in the movie. I'm very sorry. Yeah, Grace was there. She was there at the opening. Yeah.
How did it feel?
She thought it was great, but she was just so happy to see herself. I don't think she knew what she was seeing. She just sort of said, "Oh, so nice," and so cute. I said, "Yeah, Grace, sure, whatever."
She didn't mind about the movie or what?
No way. She was very
looking at her.
Yeah, she was looking at herself, and she didn't even recognize herself. That's what I heard.
Right.
She didn't know it was her. Isn't that right?
Yeah. At first, she had to be.
Somebody had to point her out to herself. That's me.
That's me.
But she was so sweet. I mean, she's very sweet. So what do you know? I mean, everything is like very nice for her.
What about some of the people in your business who? How did they react?
I think mixed. I mean, I think some people like it and some people don't.
Has Mr. Allen seen it? Because we all know he seems to have an obsession with death.
He hasn't seen it. No, no, he hasn't seen it. No.
Do you think he should?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
European people who like it, but not Americans, have made.
Americans not so much. Some, but not.
Here in Europe, it can be.
You think? I don't know.
Why not Americans so much?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wish I knew. Maybe you know. I don't know.
I'm Canadian.
So. Oh, you're Canadian.
Canadians like it.
You sound American. Yeah. Oh, look, dessert too. Wow.
What about did the celebrity, celebrity get in the way of the interviewers or help?
You're not having it?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I think with some people, maybe they wanted to confess a little more, but some others I don't know, because I think in general what I believe is that everybody wants to be in the movies. I mean, it seemed like nobody turned us down, and it wasn't like we were offering them anything other than like an opportunity to be in this little film about heaven. So I would say that most people want to be seen and paid attention to and say how they feel about things. And so I don't think there's any problem with that. If you're ever doing a movie, I think you can get people to do it.
Now, you left in the joke about you.
Oh, yeah.
From the wide-eyed guy he's obviously off his rocker. He's wonderful.
I love him.
Now, you left it in that joke. On one hand, you could see it as slightly embarrassing, and on the other hand, it's very amusing because it's the only reference to you in the entire film.
Yeah.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
I'm curious why you decided to leave it in.
Because it was too good. I mean, it was funny. I loved it. I thought it was great what he said. I couldn't, God, to not use that would have been a mistake, I think. It was very funny. I mean, that's what I think.
I think it's one of the best lines in the film. Farrah Fawcett, she loves Mel.
How about him?
He said about Mel Gibson.
Yeah, he really likes Sissy Spacek.
Yeah, Sissy Spacek. Who I went on to work with. I never knew I was going to work with Sissy Spacek at that point.
It's sort of like a great
He's great. She's great. It's just sort of weird.
I think it was wonderful how he went in and out of the reality of Diane and saying this is, he loved Diane, he was just in awe of her. But he went from that one reality of what she was in real life, and then he pulled from what other people were, who they were dating in the movies.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it was just insane.
And both were just as real to him.
I know, both were.
None of it had any. That's true.
Ryan O'Neal and Farrah Fawcett, who were actually seeing each other, was just as real as
Sissy and Mel
Gibson
in the river.
Yeah.
So
I don't suppose Shirley MacLaine's seen the film yet.
Jesus. What do you think? That's a good one. I don't know.
That would be an interesting, get a quote from her on it.
Well, maybe she's already somehow communed with the film without having seen it.
Exactly. I wondered that.
She can make her own called Heavens I Have Known.
That's right.
When you entered the project, were you worried perhaps that this would be a subject too controversial for people to deal with at all?
Unfortunately, I didn't think about it. I jumped right in. Maybe I should have thought about it.
Well, what do you think? Is there celestial life after death, or should we just live the best life we can and hope for the best? And by the way, Heaven is available on YouTube for rent or purchase if you'd like to check it out. Diane is still working today at 75. She has 3 films in various stages of post-production, including Mac and Rita, The Making of, and Family Jewels, which hopefully will be out within the next 6 months.